As a podcaster and a podcast producer, it's important to me that I produce a great sound with high quality audio. But that actually starts not in post-production, but right at the source.
This is the place for podcasters.
Welcome back to the channel. My name's Brian here with Summit City Studios, and this is the place for podcasters. On this channel, we discuss tips, tools, and tech to help you create a great podcast. And I believe a great podcast sounds great. So right now, we're going to talk about how to capture great audio right at the source. And there's a couple categories I'm going to break this video down into. The first is your microphone and your microphone technique. So what you are actually using, the hardware you're using, and how you are using it. And then we're going to talk about the environment that you record in, because there's a few simple things, really simple, inexpensive things that you can do in your environment to help cut down the noise to capture great audio. But before we get into that, let me share the problem and why we're even talking about this in the first place. Here's the thing. I listen to a lot of podcasts, and there's some really great podcasts out there with great content that sound great. There's a lot of podcasts out there with great content that don't sound great. And there's a lot of podcasts out there that don't have great content, that don't sound great. But I want to talk about the podcasts that really do have great content, but the quality of the audio suffers. And when the quality of the audio suffers, people aren't going to listen long enough, even if your content is really great. Because podcasting is growing. There's so many out there for people to choose from. And if it doesn't sound great, they're not going to listen. They're going to choose the next podcast that's delivering similar content. But I want your podcast to be heard, and I want your podcast to sound great. So let's talk about a few things that you can do to improve the audio quality on your recording right at the source before any processing or post-production is done. Hey, Brian here from just a couple hours in the future, and I had to break in right here, right now, because as I got into the editing process of this video, I realized just how much content there was here. I think it's too much for one video, so I've decided to break it into two. This first one's going to be all about the mic and mic technique that you're already watching and invested in. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so when the second one drops, part 2 drops on the environment in which you record and how to handle the sound and the echo and the reverb and all of that, that you'll be sure to be notified when that hits. So thanks for watching. Let's get back to the video. The first thing I want to talk about is your microphone. And the mic that you choose depends on a couple factors. Number one is the budget. So this microphone that I'm using now is about a $120 microphone. It's a PreSonus PD70. It's a dynamic microphone plugged into my Rodecaster Pro. And over here, I have, it's not turned on right now, so you're not hearing any audio from it. You're still hearing audio from this. This is the standard, the Blue Yeti microphone that many people have. It's a USB microphone. It's a large diaphragm condenser microphone. And let's talk about the differences between these two microphones real quick. Simply between the dynamic and the condenser microphones. A dynamic microphone like this PreSonus PD70 or the Rode PodMic or the Shure SM7B are intended to be up close to the individual who is speaking and pick up what is directly in front of them. And here's why. This is important to like a broadcast setting or an interview format or a radio context or specifically, in this case, a podcast, because it rejects a dynamic microphone, depending on the quality of the mic that you have, will pick up what's in front of it and reject sound that is on the sides and behind it. So it works well in a space that may be a little untreated, that has a lot of hard surfaces and maybe has some echo. You can get rid of a lot of that simply by using a dynamic microphone. And again, it's going to depend on the quality of the microphone that you're actually using, how much you're spending on it, and all of that. But a condenser microphone is a little bit different. There's a diaphragm inside of it. Some of them are large diaphragm, some of them are small diaphragm. This Blue Yeti is a large diaphragm condenser microphone, which means it's going to pick up a lot of noise. Why is that important? Why would anybody want that, you ask? Well, a condenser microphone actually picks up a wider spectrum, a wider range of frequencies. So you'll see recording artists using condenser microphones in a soundproof or sound treated studio because a condenser mic is going to pick up more of the tones, the deeper tones and the higher tones in their voice. So a condenser microphone is also a quality microphone for podcasting, but it depends on the space that you're in. A little bit later in the video, I'm going to do a comparison between the Blue Yeti large diaphragm condenser mic and the PreSonus PD70 dynamic mic to show you the difference of what it sounds like with a few simple things that you can do right here in the same space to make it sound better. But we'll talk about that when we get to the environment that you are recording in. But for now, let's move on and talk about another thing connected to the microphone, which is your mic technique. Typically, when we talk about mic technique, we talk about the fact that the closer you are to a microphone, the better it's going to pick you up. And that's generally true. But if you notice right now, using this dynamic microphone, it's still a couple of inches away from my mouth as I'm talking. Because if I'm right up on it, the audio level gets louder, maybe potentially even starts peaking, and you can hear what's called the proximity effect, meaning that I'm in closer proximity to the microphone, so you're likely hearing deeper tones in my voice that may even sound a little muffled. But if I back up just a couple of inches and talk like I normally would in the microphone, it sounds a little bit more natural. Now, the other thing as we talk about mic technique is that you don't want to generally talk directly into the end of the microphone, because what that is going to do is it's going to pick up every little S, call it sibilance. Every little S that you say, it's going to exaggerate, and every P sound, it's called a plosive. It's going to pick up every plosive that you say or speak, and it's going to enhance it. So as you talk into the microphone, you want to talk across the microphone. So it's pointed towards my mouth, but not directly at my mouth as I'm talking. Now, the other thing that you can do to cut down on the sibilance and the plosives in the microphone that you're using is what's called a pop filter. Now, maybe you've seen people use these in live streams or in their YouTube videos when they're talking into the microphone. Maybe you've seen them in radio booths, broadcast studios. But a pop filter usually goes right in front of the microphone between your mouth and the mic. And this one can mount right on the mic stand. I'm not going to do that. But what it does is it cuts down the sibilance, the S sounds, and it cuts down the plosives as you're speaking. This is the Blue Yeti large diaphragm condenser microphone with no pop filter to reduce plosives. This is the PreSonus PD70 dynamic microphone without a pop filter to reduce plosives. Now I'm going to pull out the pop filter. It's about a $9 pop filter. I think maybe I even got two of these for $9. So let's see how well a simple pop filter does. This is the Blue Yeti large diaphragm condenser microphone with a pop filter to reduce plosives. This is the PreSonus PD70 dynamic microphone with a pop filter to reduce plosives. So that's what a simple $9 or $10 pop filter can do to help increase the audio quality of your recording right at the source by decreasing a lot of even some of the background noise, but specifically your mouth noises that you make as you speak into a microphone that maybe you don't even recognize that you make. If you found value in this video or maybe plan to make use of any of the tips that I shared, be sure to hit that like button and let me know you valued this content, and consider subscribing to the channel for more videos just like this. And I'll see you in the next one.